Hello. It's really nice to be here on the Raw stage for Stowed Festival this year. My name's Bridget, and I'm going to be doing some spoken word for you. Now, I'm going to start with a poem, which is a kind of homage to one of our great local writers, Hugh McDermott. And he wrote a famous poem about being by the coast, and it's called On a Raised Beach. And I read a little quote, not from that poem, but from him, about it's a chaotic and frenetic age, like the growth of weeds on a demolished building site. And that kind of made me think about this poem, which is called Off a Raised Beach. And you'll see it's a little bit different in theme to his, but here goes. Odd bits of leaves in movies, thrown in handfuls from a bucket, probably. I would really like to see you, but the trees are being precocious, like 70s jeans on teens, all patched with colour, or a knapsack seen on a cool traveller in the metro. Buckets of leaves and conker rinds gone hard, as if like tangerine peel left too long on the stove. But you cannot really describe this compost as palmate, megafill, microfill, covered bulb scales, thick juicy leaves, frondula, bud stem, principal lateral appendage of the stem, including leaf margin, petiole, lamina, sometimes dorsiventrally flattened organ, isobilateral, and then an amount of epicuticular wax, sometimes leaf-like structures that are leaf-like, phylloclades, the cladodes, flattened leaf stem, the phyllids and phyllodes, sometimes foliate lichen. And in amongst all this pixelating nonsense, I am chasing after you, stubbing my toes on mounds and mounds of the orange stuff, on biscuit tins, the walls, bodies, water tanks and keys. Mini killers. My sons used to call our leaves, and we had to run fast before they touched us, sometimes straight in front of traffic. And meanwhile, you limp away in black cool. Not a traveller, very stay at home, with tiny children and guitars and linguistics and all that medieval shit. And what does that have to do with stones and weeping and Kelvin-Grow unleaving? I mean, can't you just wait? I didn't leave you. I was in love with you. There we go. Leaves. Okay, the next one is a short one. And it's kind of a weird atmosphere. It's kind of an imaginary world, and it reminds me a little bit of that state of being in lockdown that we remember a little bit. And it's called When Everything is Water. How did we get here? All the roads have gone. Once there was a network and we plugged into that. The school bus came only to the road end. Now they are swept away. We are the central point, our island of barns and beasts and 3 bens and many thrushes. Everything shared out, fodder all squared up. Once a helicopter came like a bee drawn by the flowers still blooming at the door. Okay, so we'll go into another parallel universe. And this is a woman who really fascinates me. She's a woman from Calendar called Helen Duncan. And I think she still resonates. I think I heard her in a book called Luck and Booth, if you've read that lately. It came out this year. And she held seances. But she was the last woman to be imprisoned for witchcraft in the Second World War. And her story is great if you read it, but this is an impression of her. Cheers! Cheesecloth soused as if in wallpaper paste, ghost body. The house by the river leads to the silk shop in X Street and sales goods, the lives of battleships and witches. Those men surely drowned, whatever your outcome. There's no island like an island close to shore. Step across the channel, but the water's deep. Jump across the ditch, but you may fall in the current. She transmits and leads. She shows the stepping stones with dainty feet and scones and shaded lamps. Churchill, chewing ectoplasm, chasms, opens like a dark queen incarcerated, but you always ate well before you showed. Easter Road, the cut between the tenements making halfpenny stretch till Friday, the twisting path between bedding plants, and no step outside for you. Hardcore haberdashery conspiracy theories. Teenage bleacher, Helen. Whoosh. There we go. Helen Duncan, a heroine. Now, I've got a couple of short ones. If you've heard me read before, I do like writing in cars. Now, this is strange because I used to write poems in my head when I commuted. Now, there's no commuting, so... Anyway, here's a couple. And the first one was from the Top of Sutra, if you know where that is. And anyway, it's called Sometimes I Can't See Out of the Car Without My Windows Open. Inside, I am listening to Udo Lindenberg, wearing a feather boa in the 70s, drinking Kirsch snakebite. Ahead of me there are several lorries carrying beasts and quarried stone. An accident would reinstate acres of field and dike. Outside, there's a pink light pressing against the twilight like a bruise. The snappy teeth of pine all snarled against the winds. But I beast the weather. I get the mills generating electricity. They set to it, and all the commuters pay my tithes in bread and sugar until the salt-licked windows bow down to reveal that bit of moor again, and it's looking the other way. Right. Another car poem. This one's similar kind of title, actually. Slightly different poem. You'll be glad to hear. And it's called What I See from the Car. This particular road is unmade. Veering between council oversight and quad bike track. Its beached hedges beckon each other across the washed-out culvert. A green rime skins its surface through the plantation. Its unused centre, soft with moss and cleavers. There's an estate called Kilbooley with gates and lodges and sheep grazing on broken walls. its burn bank all wrinkled like a cloth not quite pulled tight. I'm nearly through the shortcut. But this curve of the road, it slows me down. Plantation mounds with birch growth, dog's mercury and nettles. The last corner, the sweep of it, roadworks, earthworks hidden beneath its obvious history, the fact that we curled and grew here together like leaves and never went back. So let's go into a slightly different direction. Let's head back to Easter Road, where I worked for many years. And this is a poem, I suppose it's about an obsession. It's actually in relation to a particular incident where people were on the street and something bad was happening and they just didn't realise that it was bad. And they thought it was just a hug. And this is called The Hug. This is inspired by an incident where people were watching something happening on the road and they thought it was innocent, but it wasn't. And, well, listen to the poem and see what you think. God knows if it looks like a hug from the cars on Easter Road, the kind of all-engulfing sponge cake filling whole hug of a mother, the kin of warmth and spine-tingling hug of a lover. But it's not. The street is totally empty. When I met you, 10 foot tall, the very shadow of yourself, intent on cuddling the very root of me, tearing its white hidden dick cell from the tarmac and rearranging all its fibres in a line with the icy winds of Leith. Is that how you make me grow? Is that how you beast me like a bullock with one ear and a goofy dangling ball bag all hoosty too? The slime of it. It's like a plum cake put in the tin to warm and all foosty. The smell of 10 foot of you on a poster slicked with paste that's dark glass shoe pointy shortness of it fluttered and dropped on me to reveal the whole empty arrow of the road, blocked by roadworks and Greggs and estate agents, and my feet going somewhere. But yet again, crash bang, I slip into the mash tun with you. Okay, and to finish off, let's have a poem about a local institution. And I think some of you will know about, sewer plums from Gala and Whig balls, but maybe you haven't had a Jesuit snail. And this is the poem. It's a poem for my dad, really. Sweets for funerals. Would you like one of the last from the paper bag he left behind? Each drop wrapped in cellophane. Every day could be a Christmas. These ones from a tin. This one's still at the back of the cupboard with the grocer's logo dreamt up by a Frenchman. Hence the snail, or was it the shape? The old factory, the back of a shop, that clung an apparition to the wall. Forget Wonka, this is where it all started. The toffee mentholated, hung from a hook each Monday, pulled down by a week of gravity to get the fineness of it, the escargot, swoop and roll. And when you left that shop, you were a little candied too, following the road through the snow, up to the museum and jail, closed today. Ghosts at your shoulder, you step through the fine flakes, leaving no footprint, sucked and moulded by your tongue. The tin is empty. Not even sold here anymore. And that's end of me, and thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of the show. And thanks to Mac Arts for filming, and thank you for letting me be on the raw stage.